The former head of a local nonprofit indicted. The calls for transparency on how these organizations are spending your tax dollars. Emails reveal the state superintendent of schools has a hidden email address.
It seems like you're hiding something.
Fox 45 News Project Baltimore presses for answers on why he's using two different work accounts. The city's acting police commissioner addresses concerns from residents. We look at what he did and did not answer and ask people what they want to see from the next top cop.
I think people want to feel safe in their city.
Stalled talks to keep the Orioles in their home stadium.
We need to know where we're going to play baseball next year.
We talk with frustrated fans on the uncertain future of Camden Yards.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
The search for a killer continues in Harford County after a woman is found dead on a popular Bel Air trail on Sunday.
Well, tonight we are hearing from the family who says they discovered her body, describing the gruesome scene and a warning the details are graphic.
I saw a terrible mess. There was blood everywhere. I just kept seeing tunnels in my mind. I don't know why, but I just kept seeing tunnels.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Kai Jackson. We'll have more on that in just a moment.
But we begin in Baltimore City, where the former leader of the nonprofit Strong City Baltimore has been indicted.
Reginald Davis is charged with allegedly scamming the city out of millions of dollars in grant money.
Tonight, Fox 45's Jeff Abel looks into the city's limited oversight on nonprofits.
But our team coverage begins with Mackenzie Frost digging into another red flag for Strong City Baltimore.
Reginald Davis pleaded not guilty to 3 federal charges on Wednesday, all stemming from what prosecutors say was a nonprofit facing financial woes and Davis's attempt to patch up the problem. Reginald Davis now federally indicted, facing 1 wire fraud charge and 2 money laundering charges. After his federal court appearance Wednesday, Davis and his attorney, Gerald Reuter, staying quiet. Davis served as CEO of Strong City Baltimore from April 2021 until December 2022, still listed on the nonprofit's website as the CEO. The 3-count, 15-page indictment outlines how prosecutors say Davis misused federal COVID relief money he got through the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP loan. The indictment alleges Strong City was mismanaging its nonprofit clients' money, claiming Strong City owed one organization more than $610,000. In a March 2021 email, Davis wrote to Strong City Baltimore's board explaining the organization's $1.7 million deficit, quote, is due to overextension in project expenditures, according to the indictment. Federal prosecutors say Davis devised a scheme to defraud a bank and get a PPP loan, all to cover shortfalls in SCB's accounts that were owed to the fiscally sponsored organizations. Those shortfalls are because Strong City improperly used assets to pay for operating expenses and employee salaries, according to prosecutors.
There was red flags littering the landscape.
Adam Andrzejewski, a government waste watchdog, notes Strong City is still delinquent with Maryland's charity registration and says the red flags with the organization have been raised for years.
So you had all these organizations saying that Strong Cities Baltimore wasn't managing their own money properly. They weren't filing their payroll on a timely basis. They weren't filing their financial statements. And yet we identified $800,000 in city funds and city school funds flowed with a lack of transparency and no accountability to the organization as late as February of 2022.
Davis now awaits his next court date while his court-appointed attorney prepares his defense. Strong City Baltimore did not return our request for comment about this latest indictment. It's unclear who's running the organization right now. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
As Andrzejewski looks into the controversy surrounding Strong City Baltimore, he's also sharing some concerns about the way the city allocates money to all of its nonprofits. Fox 45's Jeff Abel joins us live with these transparency questions tonight. Jeff?
Well, we're learning tonight that as many as 1 out of every 4 nonprofits in this city are not in compliance with state laws, yet tax dollars keep flowing their way. On a boarded block of East Biddle Street stands the shiny, renovated headquarters of Strong City Baltimore, a nonprofit which manages the finances for 150 other nonprofits. But funds which were supposed to help community causes like inmates returning from prison and children seeking mentors instead helped pay for this building, according to its nonprofit clients who entrusted Strong City Baltimore to keep them strong too.
How can they be managing millions of dollars for other organizations?
The indictment is raising new questions about the state of affairs for hundreds of other nonprofits. Adam Andrzejewski with OpenTheBooks.com says as many as 1 out of every 4 nonprofits in Baltimore are not in compliance with state laws, yet tax dollars continue to pour in.
The city and the schools both pumped in hundreds of thousands of dollars into Strong Cities Baltimore during a period where the organization was out of compliance and quote unquote delinquent and owed hundreds of dollars worth of fines.
We still have to always be diligent.
Inspector General Isabel Cummings began investigating Strong City Baltimore a year ago after receiving a complaint. Many nonprofits, she says, entrust that fiscal sponsors like Strong City Baltimore are on sound financial ground.
It's such a passion, it's such a vision that the accounting part of it is the difficult part. Having to do all of those type of rules, having to do the reporting, that type of stuff. So many times they encourage people to use fiscal sponsorships.
But as the leader of this nonprofit prepares to defend his actions, the state of other nonprofits are gaining attention too.
I always hope that people realize that, you are going to be held accountable.
And Cummings insists these fiscal sponsors should be audited annually to ensure they are managing funds the way they say they are managing funds. We're live tonight. Jeff Apel, Fox 45 News.
Jeff, thank you. Well, OpenTheBooks.com pulled the 10 nonprofits the city gave the most money to in 2021. And while some of them were transparent about how that money was spent, others were not, including one that received $6 million despite an expired registration. Fox 45 News pressed the city council president on it last year. He appeared non-committal about asking for more transparency.
Is there enough oversight for some of the awards? I mean,
there's enough for some, yes, correct.
And not for others?
Again, I think that it's important to look at it award by award.
While Mosby suggests add more transparency from these agencies, Councilman Yitzi Schleifer is trying to make that actually happen. He's introducing a bill that would require nonprofits to share how they spend the money that's awarded to them.
We see tens, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars going out the door to organizations, and it's important that we have the same level of transparency.
No hearing is scheduled right now, but Schleifer says he's committed to working with anyone who wants to move it forward. Now, critics have also called for more oversight into city agencies that receive taxpayer dollars, including the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. Baltimore City Comptroller Bill Henry promised to expand the city's audit program to include Monzi. So far, that hasn't happened.
Well, Monzi is receiving over $20 million from the city, but questions remain surrounding how the organization hands out your tax dollars, especially when it comes to the Safe Streets program. Fox 45 News obtained a letter Safe Streets parent organization sent to the mayor's office saying each of their 10 locations are dangerously understaffed. Fox 45 News sending Monzi a number of questions about those letters. They responded in a lengthy statement saying there are 26 open positions across all 10 sites, and they are working to fill those positions. It's not clear which sites are struggling the most and if consolidating locations is an option. Now, former Monzi director Shantae Jackson faced conflict of interest questions of her own while leading the department. In 2022, Project Numa received nearly $1 million from the city in a grant overseen by Monzi. The mayor's office confirmed Jackson and the program's director, Damian Cooper, were once in a relationship. The grant was later moved to a different organization not under Jackson's oversight.
That brings us to our question of the day. Do you think Baltimore City should be required to fully disclose how tax dollars are spent on nonprofits? So far, 95% of those who voted say yes. You can make your voice heard by going to foxbaltimore.com/vote. Fox 45 News will continue to push elected leaders and city agencies for transparency. Our full reporting on the questions surrounding Baltimore nonprofits is available on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
Well, the search is on for suspects in the murder of 37-year-old Rachel Morin 3 days after her body was discovered on a popular Harford County trail. Tonight, Fox 45 News is hearing from the family who says they made the chilling discovery.
My daughter called me in a panic, saying that there was a girl missing down at Mom Pa Trail, and I just kept seeing tunnels in my mind. I don't know why, but I just kept seeing tunnels.
Well, Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor spoke to that family today, and we warn you some of the details are disturbing.
I had never walked it myself.
For Michael Gabrzeski,
I told my stepdaughter, I said, look, it's not going to be laying out in the open.
the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air, uncharted territory.
I said, she's going to be tucked away somewhere.
But the former National Park search and rescue officer has extensive experience tracking down missing people.
So basically, it's my passion to bring closure to that family by bringing her back and not having them wonder what happened.
Following reports, 37-year-old Rachel Morin left for a walk and never returned, Gabrzeski and his stepdaughter taking off on a search rooted on instinct.
I just kept seeing tunnels in my mind. I don't know why, but I just kept seeing tunnels.
Despite law enforcement swarming the area for almost a full day, Gabrzeski's stepdaughter locating the body in about an hour. The deadly discovery.
Once we got down there and I started seeing them tunnels, I started getting goosebumps.
Made in a tunnel drain not far from the trail's main entrance.
I saw a terrible mess.
Gabrzeski's visions meeting the reality of a gruesome scene.
There's not going to be an open casket, I can guarantee you that.
He says Morin's body found in a pool of blood, suffering severe head trauma, an injury he believes could be the result of a rock.
My daughter said that there was a big rock down there that was all caked in blood.
I understand many of you want answers, and we do too.
The latest update from the Harford County Sheriff's Department declining to mention how Morin died and not yet naming a suspect. This as Morin's boyfriend quickly taking to social media, proclaiming his innocence. Richard Tobin writing, quote, "I love Rachel. I would never do anything to her. Let the family and I grieve."
I mean, it could have been his way of grieving, but it's not about you. It's about her. It's about bringing her home. And somebody's mother, somebody's daughter. She left behind 5 children.
Whoever the killer is, Gabrzeski convinced it's someone with close ties to the victim.
Because it's too personable. If somebody were just to do a thrill kill, it wouldn't be as brutal as what we witnessed.
Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Court records show Morin's boyfriend has a history of domestic violence allegations. Harford County Police say that they interviewed him. Police are not naming him or anyone as a suspect at this time. The sheriff's office is asking anyone who was around the trail this weekend to send in pictures and videos if you have them. So far, the sheriff's office has received more than 100 tips.
We are tracking a few showers overnight. It's really not much out there. It's actually right around Kent Narrows that we've got one, maybe lone, we'll say moderate rain shower, maybe a little bit of heavier rain in the center of that, but that is about it. Everybody else is dry this evening, but that will change tomorrow. Next weather maker moving in 6 a.m. through 9 a.m., maybe a spot drizzle or shower chance, but then by noontime and beyond, look at all that rain beginning to build in. I'm going to let you know how much you may see by the time it's all said and done and if it's going to clear out for the weekend in a couple of minutes.
Well, coming up on Fox 45 News at 10 o'clock tonight, the Baltimore Orioles lease with the Maryland Stadium Authority is under a cloud of uncertainty. A look at the delays in the deal and the frustration from fans. Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley talks with residents for the second night. The questions he answered and what some people would like to hear now. And coming up after our break tonight, concerns that the State Department of Education may be hiding information. Project Baltimore investigates what new emails reveal.
Tonight, a former state employee comes forward asking, what is the Maryland Department of Education hiding? This after Fox 45 News obtained documents from the state that are heavily redacted.
As Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, some of those documents have now been unredacted, which is revealing a hidden email address apparently used by the state school superintendent.
He's using it for nothing good.
This person is a former high-level employee at the Maryland State Department of Education. Fearing retaliation, we agreed to conceal their identity.
It doesn't make sense. It seems like you're hiding something.
This whistleblower, who worked under State Superintendent Mohammed Chaudhry, is reacting to something we just told them about their former boss. They didn't know. As an MSDE employee, were you made aware that the superintendent had this second email?
No.
Project Baltimore first reported on this email thread last week. We received it through a public records request. The subject line reads, Project Baltimore Request. All the emails in this thread were sent on March 3rd in response to an email we sent MSDE concerning our investigation that found 23 city schools where 0 students tested in 2022 scored proficient in math. When we first received this thread, the final email was fully redacted, including the superintendent's email, which isn't redacted elsewhere in the thread. But we believe the public has a right to know what its government is doing to educate children, especially at Maryland's lowest performing schools. So we replied to MSDE asking for the specific state law that allows for these redactions. A few days later, the state responded by unredacting parts of this email. And what we can see now is raising a lot of questions. On the state's website, this is the state superintendent's only visible email address, mohammed.chaudhry@maryland.gov. But this is not the address the state superintendent used to send this email. Once the state removed the redactions, we can see he sent it from mohammed.chaudhry725@maryland.gov. But that's not all we can see. The state also removed the redactions for 3 of the 4 recipients of this email. These 3 people work for MSDE. But what about this person? Why is this email still redacted? Why is the state superintendent using a secondary email address to send messages to people that the public can't see? And most importantly, why was all of this redacted in the first place?
I believe they don't want you or the public to know that Mr. Chaudhry has a different email address that he could be conducting official MSDE business through. It doesn't look good. It makes it look bad.
The state told Fox 45 in a series of statements the superintendent's secondary email address at first was inadvertently redacted, but he used it as a means of organization because his primary email address receives a myriad of messages from stakeholders every day. As far as the body of the email being blacked out, the state is still citing what's called the deliberative process privilege, which means if the superintendent is discussing strategy with fellow employees, that can be redacted. But that exemption may not apply depending on who the 4th recipient is. In this statement, MSDE said the 4th recipient is legal counsel and therefore is subject to redaction. But attorney Scott Martyr says that's not true.
There's nothing in Maryland law, including in the Public Information Act, that allows them to do that.
So you think MSDE is just wrong?
I think they're wrong. I think they're violating Maryland law by not giving you all of the names of the recipients.
Superintendent Chaudhry's contract expires next year. The State Board of Education has not yet offered him a new contract, even though Chaudhry has said he wants to stay.
It's really important to get this right for the families and the children of Maryland.
The next board meeting is August 22nd. And this whistleblower is asking the board to not vote on Chaudhry's future until the public, taxpayers, parents, and students have answers.
I do not believe that this is the person that should be leading our state into the future.
I'm Chris Papst, and this is Project Baltimore.
The redacted emails from MSDE are only part of Project Baltimore's investigation into the Maryland State Department of Education. Earlier this week, we told you about 98 text messages sent or received by the state superintendent that were deleted, which could be a violation of state law. So who, if anyone, will look into all of this? That part of Project Baltimore's investigation in the coming days.
We are imploring the Board of Education to respect our First Amendment rights to religious freedom.
A debate over parents' rights in Montgomery County. Why some parents want to opt their children out of certain lessons while others push back.
Deadly wildfires are raging through Hawaii right now. We'll look at the devastation and the lasting impact it'll have.
And closer to home, it looks like a quiet trend overnight, but by tomorrow morning, look on the commuter forecast. Could see a few showers beginning to move in. More humidity, too, as temperatures begin to rise through the 70s. After that, it looks like hot stuff moving back in as highs reach well up into the low to mid 90s. I'm going to let you know if that comes with another chance of rain and storms, though, in my Weather Authority forecast.
And as we head to break, a live look over the Inner Harbor. We're looking at the O's game right there. We'll have updates on the score coming up.
Taking a look right now at the Fox box on the top left, Anheuser-Busch sells 8 of its beer and beverage brands to cannabis lifestyle company Tilray. It follows controversy when the beer brand collaborated with a transgender influencer. The company says its revenue fell 10% in the second quarter.
Top right, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis suspended the top state prosecutor in Orlando, accusing her of being soft on crime and lenient toward violent criminals. Attorney Monique Wardle argues her prosecution rate is similar to her predecessors. The governor tapped a conservative county judge to replace her.
The bottom left, indictment stemming from the Georgia 2020 election case could happen next week. According to CNN, the Fulton County District Attorney, that's in Atlanta, is set to present her case before the grand jury. It's not clear whether former President Trump will be indicted.
Bottom right, special counsel Jack Smith's team obtained a search warrant for records related to former President Trump's Twitter account. The revelation comes after court documents were released today showing the warrant was secured in January and Twitter was fined for delayed compliance.
At least 6 people have died in wildfires raging across the Hawaiian island of Maui. Now, that number could go up as search and rescue efforts continue. Multiple people have been hurt. Those fires are partly fueled by powerful winds from Hurricane Dora. Maui County's mayor says at this point it's impossible to know the extent of the damage, but many structures have been burned to the ground.
Right now, the priority is for saving lives, preventing human suffering, and in mitigating great property loss.
Well, hundreds of families have been displaced so far, with more than 2,000 people in shelters. Hawaii's lieutenant governor estimates recovery from the fires will take years.
Pretty stupid. You got to do it. Where's the ballpark going to go?
Frustrated fans as the Orioles continue to soar. Their lease is at a standstill. A closer look at the delays and what fans are saying about it.
Acting Baltimore Police Commissioner Richard Worley hears from residents tonight during his second town hall. What questions he answered and which ones were left unanswered.
Let's go live to Camden Yards. The lights still shining brightly despite a losing effort from the Orioles tonight against the Houston Astros. O's fans are hoping this young and exciting team carries this city on a deep postseason run.
But the Orioles' future at Camden Yards after the season isn't set in stone. The Orioles' lease with the state of Maryland is set to expire at the end of next year, or end of the year. Despite optimism, negotiations are moving as swiftly as some had hoped.
That's right. Fox 45's Keith Daniels joins us live with some frustrations surrounding these stalled talks. Keith?
Well, Mary and Kai, concerns surfaced last week, and this is the first home game for the O's since those concerns were made public. And tonight, frustration from fans. At Camden Yards, game day for the Baltimore Orioles. But as the O's fly up against the Astros, speculation looms.
Now we're here helping the fans eat peanuts.
Not over players, but where they play. Lease negotiations seemingly stalled.
Well, better not.
Frustrating fans.
It's sad. This is our home.
Yeah, it's frustration because we need to know where we're going to play baseball next year. And it has to be Oriole Park at Camden Yards.
The Orioles lease that keeps them at Camden Yards expires in less than 5 months, December 31st. But as of yet, no new lease signed.
It's pretty damn stupid if you want the truth.
I'm sorry?
Pretty stupid. You got to do it. Where's the ballpark going to go? Where are we going to go as fans?
Peanut, pistachio, cashew, cold drink. The team has played at Oriole Park at Camden Yards since 1992, when the state built the ballpark. The Baltimore Orioles and Governor Wes Moore both have said they're committed to renewing the lease. The governor just this week saying a deal will get done. But what's the holdup?
Franchise owners are accustomed now to asking for the world.
Economist Anuban Basu weighs in.
Well, it's complicated, especially because we're not just talking about things happening inside the stadium, but now talking about things to happen outside of the stadium potentially.
According to The Athletic, the problem is team owner John Angelos wants a lease that includes more than the commitment by the state to unlock $600 million in public funds for ballpark improvements. He also wants to develop an area around the park that could include a mix of shops and dining.
Here we are in this negotiation, and it's taking longer than everyone had hoped, I think. We want to have this, we don't want to have to think about the possibility of the Orioles not being here. And Baltimore has enough issues. Maryland has enough issues.
Negotiations. Everything takes time. They'll work it out.
Well, we're told Governor Moore is a good friend of Angelos, which could be helpful in these negotiations. The governor has been a frequent visitor to Camden Yards, watching the O's play. We're live tonight. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Keith, thank you. Well, a public opinion poll released this week is asking fans about a potential plan to revitalize the area around Camden Yards and M&T Bank Stadium, according to the Baltimore Banner. The poll refers to the area's Camden Crossing, alluding to a plan for major investment in hotels, housing, and office space. We do know Governor Moore and the Orioles chairman John Angelos visited the Battery in Atlanta earlier this year, an area just outside the Braves Stadium featuring bars and other entertainment. They have expressed interest in a similar area here in Baltimore.
Camden Yards isn't the only stadium priority for Governor Moore. During Washington Commanders training camp today, the governor said he's committed to keeping the team in Maryland.
So we know that this is going to be a championship team going forward. It's exciting about the new vision that the new ownership has in coming on board. And I think it really does correlate and correspond well to how we're thinking about things in the state of Maryland. So we are excited for them to be able to build and grow and win in the state of Maryland.
Both Virginia and D.C. are also bidding to have the Commanders play there. Governor Moore says he's already engaged in talks with the new owners.
It seems that it's increasing more and more. No one seems to be put off with the idea of what would happen to them if they were to just open up on a crowd.
Acting Baltimore Police Commissioner Richard Worley holding his second public comment session tonight, asking Baltimore residents about their public safety priorities. Fox 45's Vincent Hill joins us live with a message from tonight's session. Vincent?
Yeah, Mary, the folks we talked to want to know two things. What will Worley do to make Baltimore more safe, and how transparent will he be?
It's an honor to be standing here.
Acting Commissioner Richard Worley.
Good evening, everyone.
Meeting virtually with citizens Wednesday night on why he should be the city's top cop.
I couldn't be happier to hear your voices today as to how we can make Baltimore safer.
Those voices, handpicked questions by Mayor Brandon Scott, sent in via social media. One of them, the number of guns on Baltimore streets.
Our men and women already seized over 1,700 guns this year. That's up over 9% from the just under 1,600 we seized last year.
But some of the questions were not answered, like coming clean about safe streets, and some calling Worley's answers lip service.
We changing the people that's in the seat, and they change how they do the same methods.
Fox 45 asked residents face-to-face what they want to see from Worley.
Public safety is a big issue, so where do you start with that?
Murders and violent crimes at the top of Myron Higgins' list.
The unsolved murders and Of course, we want people who are committing crimes off the street, violent crimes against society and humanity.
Of the 167 homicides this year, only 42 have been solved. That's a 25% clearance rate.
We can do more policing, more enforcing, but what is that really going to change? You know what I'm saying?
And 3 weeks after Worley received the nod from the mayor.
And I have an armed person call at 819 Gretna Court. Hundreds of males and females are armed with guns and knives at the location.
The city's biggest mass shooting, leaving 2 dead and 28 injured.
I certainly would like to see a real valiant effort in trying to get them to get answers for that.
Jasmine Brown, who's lived in Baltimore for 30 years, in disbelief after the city's 10th mass shooting of 2023.
If there's a fear that this is also going to, in addition to the already high murder rate, if mass shootings is also going to be a situation we're going to have to fear in the city, that's not going to be productive.
Fox 45 pressed Worley about answers a month after that shooting.
No, you can't. No, you cannot. You cannot. You don't want to answer?
During Wednesday night's virtual town hall, Worley taking a different tone.
I'd love to give you more information. I just can't give it to you right now, but I got a feeling in the next couple weeks there will be some investigations that are going to lead to arrests.
Meanwhile, Brown says if she could ask Acting Commissioner Worley any question she wanted, it would be this.
I think people want to feel safe in their city. What approach would he take that differed from everyone in the past?
And Worley's next town hall is scheduled for Monday, the 14th, in the Park Heights community. For now, we're live at BPD headquarters. Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
During Tuesday's public comment session, older Baltimore residents brought up youth crime and a lack of consequences. Mayor Brandon Scott and City State's Attorney Ivan Bates both say current juvenile justice laws aren't enough to deter crime.
You know that I think there's something need to change.
If a juvenile has an illegal handgun, the longest that they can be on probation is 6 months. 6 months. What services can we give a kid in 6 months?
Juvenile crime isn't just a concern in Baltimore. Baltimore County Police say a 15-year-old has been arrested in connection with 3 stolen vehicles in Dundalk. Police say the teen was driving one of the stolen cars when he crashed into an unmarked police car. One of the stolen cars was a Kia, another was a Hyundai. Both have been subject to a rise in thefts due to a viral social media trend. And early this month, surveillance video in Anne Arundel County captured 3 teenage girls running away after trying to carjack someone in the Brooklyn Park area, according to police. Police are reporting nearly a dozen attempted car thefts involving teens over the past few weeks.
Well, Republican delegate Nino Mangione wants to see a change to the Juvenile Justice Reform Act, which limits children under 13 from most criminal charges and states anyone under 10 can't be charged at all.
Right now, criminals, all ages in Maryland, know that you can get away with a lot in this state, and it's because failed policies like this juvenile justice law. I think we must defer to law enforcement and design effective strategies to prevent violent crime and work with prosecutors to impose tough penalties on those, especially the juveniles who commit violent acts. And we should start early and make certain that juveniles know that there is accountability.
Well, 2 Maryland legislative committees plan to look into accusations juvenile justice reform laws are contributing to the problem. Mangione says he doesn't expect much to come of it. Instead, he'd support a special session. Fox 45 News press Governor Moore about calling a special session. He says that is not going to happen. Well, a federal court is hearing a case in Montgomery County centering on parents' rights to remove their children from certain parts of a curriculum because of religious freedom.
Some parents want their right to pull their elementary schoolers from story hour books about gender and sexuality. Fox 45's Amy Simpson has the story.
Inside this Greenbelt courthouse today, parents suing for the right to opt their children out of what they call pride-themed storybooks in Montgomery County Public Schools.
We're not challenging the curriculum. We're not asking the court to take these books out of the school. We want to respect the rights of parents to have the instruction they want for their children, but we are asking that parents who have an objection, that they're allowed to let their kids opt out of this instruction.
The parents behind the suit are Muslim, Catholic, and Ukrainian Orthodox. Also joined with a Montgomery County interfaith group called Kids First, and claim certain books are age inappropriate and inconsistent with their faith, questioning the role of religious freedom in this debate about parental rights in education and curriculum.
We are imploring the Board of Education to respect our First Amendment rights to religious freedom. That's the real issue.